So, Gambit Shifter. Small game, short game, and a nice game. As usual, I'll start with what I was expecting. The trailers were very clear. So it's a puzzle game. You move through tiles and you control a chess figurine. You start as a pawn and then you can transform into other pieces. But there's something that I didn't get that I was expecting. It's that the game would be closer to the rules of chess, because I know how to play chess, at least the basics. I know how each piece moves, and here in this game it's not one-to-one. So I was expecting something closer to actual chess but adapted into puzzle levels, and what I got was a game that it's loosely adapting the rules of chess. So as examples, the pawn in chess can move 2 tiles in front, forward in the opening move. But here you can move 2, not just 1, 1, 1. You can move 2 and 2 at any given moment, as long as you have 2 tiles in front of you. So that's one difference. For example, the king doesn't move in the game, which surprised me the first time I found out. And there is no queen in the game. Don't know why. Maybe they are keeping it for an expansion or a second game, but it's an absence that is noticeable because all of the other pieces are there, but not the queen, which is also part of the thing called chess. It's not chess without a queen. So there are some creative freedom that I can understand because this is an adaptation. It's not one-to-one chess. So I'll take it, and in the end, the result, I think it was a good game. That it was short. This is the summary of my opinion. It's a nice game that is beautiful. It's short, it's easy, and I don't think it will be my game of the year because I'm not the kind of player that the game focuses on. It's not going after me, for example. I like puzzle games, of course, obviously, but this won't be my favorite because it has 7 chapters. The first 6, you can breeze through them. They're super easy. I'll talk about them next. And then the only chapter, Reign, Kingdom, that challenged me was the last one, the 7th, and even not every level. But it was more like my level of difficulty than the 7. All in all, I think 7, it's a bit short. It should have at least 10. Maybe with new mechanics. It's not short on mechanics, this game. It has 7 kingdoms, 7 chapters, and it has 6, I believe, 5 or 6 mechanics. I have them. So you have the green platform that moves, that's one. The tile with the bricks that grow in Unstable Kingdom, that's the name of the chapter. Then you have the portal that you can go through one and you appear on the other one. You have the square hole that it's like a trap from Stickyville, and then you have the switch. When you press it, new tiles appear. I don't think I'm missing any, so that's 5. 5 mechanics for 7 chapters, 7 episodes. Not bad, not bad. But if it had 7 mechanics with 10 episodes or 10 worlds, it would be even better and a little bit more difficult. I'll start with my positives and negatives. I have 2 positives and 2 negatives. I'll go a bit fast this time because I have a lot of mentions, special mentions. So they are not either good or bad. Some things that I consider suggestions, or as the name implies, it's a special mention. It's just I need to mention it. Or maybe something that is just my opinion, is subjective, is not so objective. So I have 4 of those. Positives. My 2 positives for this game. And I'll start with the smallest of the positives, which is the game is beautiful. I love the art. I think it's clear, or it's noticeable, that they put a special effort or attention to detail to the art of this game. The game is beautiful. The game is well designed artistically. They took their time to select the color palette, the right color palette for every level, every aspect of the game. It goes very well. The pieces have been well designed, everything is animated as well. It belongs to this idea of the artistic design of the game. The animations, they are very smooth, very, how to say, not minimalistic, but subtle. Like, they are not overly done. Some things moving slow and there's a flow, and when one piece takes over another piece, it breaks into pieces, smaller ones. The tiles, they move. When you start a level, the level builds itself, like the tiles appear and then the pawns drop on top, then the enemies, everything is like animated. Everything, it's not like, oh, loading level and then you get everything at once. Also, because the level is quite small, it takes little real estate in the screen. There's a lot of background, and this background could be a static image, or they chose a gradient color, but it could be static. They put an effort to do like little details and things are moving, and from world to world, these elements that float or fly or move, they are different. So they took their time to put attention to those little details. That's appreciated. But this is not the best for me in the game. It's very nice. The game looks astounding, no complaints, but there's something I found better in this game than the art. I think quite clearly middle ground positive, and that's the music. The music, I don't know if you noticed, but because I review the games, I pay attention to everything while I'm playing, and while I'm talking to you, I'm also taking notes and analyzing the game. I don't know if you noticed, but I did. When you start a reign, a kingdom, I don't know how to call it, a new world, you get like the basic version of the background music. And as you progress through the 12 levels in this kingdom, the music, it gradually increases, not in volume but in complexity. There are more instruments, more elements become part of the background music. So as you progress through the world, you have the sense of evolution and progress through the feedback of the music, and that's not necessary. Nobody asks for that in a puzzle game, not in any game, but let alone in a puzzle game. But they did the effort, and they did it, and it works, and it's nice to have that. So I'm giving it the middle ground of the positives, because it's something good, and we come from playing two games that I criticize them for having terrible background music, and having this out of a sudden, now we not only have beautiful pieces that go along with the game and they fill up the silence, and they accompany you through the levels, progressing in each kingdom. Not only that they put this additionally, it's not just music, it's an element of the game that evolves as you progress. The difficulty increases, the music also increases. And maybe I'm going too far, but I'll say it's like it's getting more epic as you get to the last level of each kingdom. It's not like Braveheart or the Lord of the Rings ending. It's not that epic, but it's more intense, a little bit more complex. Also, there's a slight detail. It could be a mention. It's not a positive, but it could be a special mention. I didn't have it in the special mention, but because I'm talking about the music, I'll mention here. When you complete a kingdom, a world with all of the crowns, you are able to move around the crown in the main menu. And when you move the crown, it produces an effect on the music. So you can modify the music, and I don't know how to explain because I know nothing about music, but it's like introduces an effect like out of pitch, like it doesn't sound right. It deforms the sound and it sounds weird, but it's a nice effect. When you touch the crown, like you can play around with it, it affects the music, and that's something. It's a game, so let's play with the crown, let's play with the sound. It's not necessary for the game to be successful, but it's included in the game, so I'll also mention it, and it's a nice addition. These are my positives. Now unfortunately, we need to talk about the negatives. Even though I like the game, there are also a couple of things that they weren't so nice to have. And for me, the game would have been better if this I'm going to talk about was different. There was something that it was a big deal for the kind of player I am, or my profile as a player, and it's, I'll show you before I say it, and it's slight negative. It's not like a big deal, because as I say, it affects me more than all players. I think it's more like a me thing than something that is going to be important for everybody that plays the game. So it is a big deal for me, but not for everyone probably. And it's that I found too many times there was one only possible move to continue. Now, let me talk about this a little bit more in detail. There are situations where in many games you can only do one move. So if you go left, you fail. If you go right, you fail. But you can go left and right, but then you realize you fail. And then at the same time, you can do trial and error, but that narrows your options to one, and you can only go for one. That is useful. Like, for example, I always talk about the same game because I think it's the perfect example of how to do things right. It's not perfect, but for this example, it's perfect. In Golf Picks, the tutorial levels, they only have one move. So if you can only do this move, the game is showing you what you need to do to continue. So you can move one, you move one, then you learn how to move. But then you can move three. But if you move three, you fail. So you need to move three going back, and you bounce the ball, and then you get into the hole because something. So your only move is one. You can do more than one move, but you immediately after this one move, you realize you're failing. So it narrows your options, and then you can only do one thing. That's good for tutorials because the game teaches you how to play without telling you explicitly with chunks of text and big lore dumps. Now, this game, outside of the tutorial, in way too many cases, for me, because maybe I'm more of an advanced player, I don't know, but I felt this was annoying because I didn't feel like I was playing. I felt like the game was scripted and I was just following the trail of breadcrumbs. I wasn't thinking, I wasn't playing, I wasn't testing, I wasn't coming up with different strategies. I didn't feel at the beginning, in the first 6 kingdoms, that I was getting the most out of the game. So for example, in dungeon and puzzles, the solution is one. You have 27 moves. Inside the level, you can go many ways. And you cannot just go left. You can go left, up, right, down many times and do different things. It's not like after my first move, I realize I failed. I have to do 20 moves to realize that path is not the way. So I feel like I'm playing. In dungeon and puzzles, I feel like I'm playing. And I'm testing my capabilities, strategy or finding the way. Here, the alternative paths, the ones that don't lead you to the correct answer, they are too short. So either the levels are too small or these paths have been reduced so much to make the game more accessible. That's why it's the lowest of the negatives. Because maybe for the general public, this is the kind of game they are after. They don't want to spend 2 hours in one level. I want to spend 1, 2, 3 hours in one level. I can. And I would love it if the game is fun. But I think for the market this game is focused, that path or that kind of gameplay, it's not what they are after, and they would drop the game if they can't find a solution. So that's why it's the lowest of my negatives. I could understand why they did this, why this decision, so that people don't get lost. It's like a maze where the alternative paths, they are so short that they are not an alternative, so you can keep moving for the correct path to the exit. That's the smallest of the negatives. There is something that really annoyed me in this game. In this game and in any game. Imagine you have a mystery and someone tells you the answer. Oh, the killer is the butler. Then why do I watch the movie? oh, you have to press up, up, down, left. Then why do I need to find the clue that leads me to the answer? And then I realize if I get the straight answer, what's the point on playing? And this is very important. Maybe in an RPG that the weakness of a boss is fire is not that important, because you still have to beat the boss, even though you know the weakness is fire. But in a puzzle game, the final answer, the answer or the solution to a puzzle, it's key. It's everything. So my harshest of the negatives is that the titles of the levels, they tell you how to solve the levels. This is an affront to the intellect of every player. So why do we play if the title, which is the first thing you get out of the level, you don't even get the pawns or the layout of the level, you get the title. The title, not always, but 75%, which is incredible, I felt, they tell you the answer. At the beginning, I was thinking, oh, these are clues. But as I progressed through the game, I realized they are not clues. They are telling you straight answer. The jump of the knight, well, then I have to become a knight. It's not enough with the rook and the bishop. What's the point then? Why do I play? Layout on the floor tiles where I have to press, and then let's finish this. My proposition, and I think this needs to be addressed and needs to be patched, is that make the titles of the game first not spoiler. Don't be in any way related to how you beat the level. Second, I would suggest to make pop culture or references to things related to whatever, like a level called The Return of the King because of The Lord of the Rings, or I don't know, something about crowns. Nothing comes to mind now. But when players read the title, they can, oh, this means something else, but not the answer. Whatever you want, but not the answer. I think the titles of the levels, they need to be changed. Like, clearly, it's scandalous. And that's my biggest of the negatives. I didn't enjoy the game as much because some levels I could have been stuck, and just by reading the title I could find out the answer. I didn't have to play the level to find the answer. I could read the answer in the title. So that's a terrible, terrible creative decision that they made, and the only thing I can understand is what I said. This game is marketed for casual players. They don't want to spend 1 hour in one level, and if they get stuck, they have another hint. Yesterday we played Air Trees. It's a puzzle game. If you want a hint, you go to the menu and you click the light bulb, and it gives you a hint if you want. It's not explicit and openly available for everyone, regardless of the desire of having help or not. That's all my positives and negatives. I think it makes like Cosmic Express. The titles of the levels make the game worse, less fun. I don't understand. And if that's the case, that it's because it's marketing, targeting casual players, well, then don't invite me. Now it's the time for special mentions. Comments, ideas that cross my mind. First, special mention. It feels like this game belongs to a phone and not to be played on a computer. I played on PC through Steam, but it feels like it requires a tactile screen or a touch screen. So why is this game not released on mobile? The only thing that I can think is that they prioritize PC and other platforms. I don't know if it releases on Switch and then they release it on phone, because if they were to do it the opposite way, maybe they think they would sell less, because I don't know what's behind, but this game needs a phone portable version, and I think it would be ideal because it's for shorter play sessions. And if it's true that it targets casual players, why is not released on mobile phone? That's my first of the mentions. I think it's on Switch, but the Switch as a device is not as portable as a phone. So my next special mention is something positive, and that's the accessibility options, at least visual accessibility options, because you can modify the colors, and that also relates to the art. They took special care about the visual fidelity. So this, I don't know, there are like 6 or 8 different modes depending on the impairment or handicap that you have in your visual system. Like if you can see some colors or differentiate a series of colors, you have a mode that can help you here. And that's nobody asked, but those people who require this, they'll appreciate it very much. I don't have any impairment in my vision other than stigmatism, so I cannot tell you anything else. I don't know if they work or don't work. That's why it's a special mention. It's good to have it there. If it works, it's lovely for those people who need those modes, visual modes. These 6 to 8, I'm not sure how many, they change the color and the grading or the color palette for the visuals, so it's nice to have it. I needed to mention it. Also, next special mention is slightly negative. For me, the game is too short because out of the 7 chapters, the first 6 I did them in a breeze. They were super easy because there's too many one move only make the game easier, and the spoiler of the titles, they make the game even easier. So out of the 7 episode chapters, whatever they are called, the first 6 almost didn't have to retry at once. Not true, but almost. And only the last episode, Last Kingdom 7, was a little bit challenging. So it felt short not because there's no content, but because it wasn't challenging. Maybe in the future they make an expansion with 3 more worlds like Golf Peaks did, maybe. And also it feels short because at the end of the game, when you beat it, there's nothing to unlock, like a new game mode or some extras or something about the development, like a developer diary, images of prototypes or something. You don't unlock anything. At the end of the game, I honestly was expecting to unlock the actual chess game, but you could play with the pieces of the game, the pieces that have been designed for the game, and you can play chess but with your familiar pieces. This is not the case, but also it would have been nice just to say an example. When you finish the game, now you can replay some levels or all levels or specific ones. I don't know, I don't make games where you not only have to finish the level in a maximum number of moves, you also have to take over every enemy piece. For example, that's a new challenge. Like you can finish a level without killing every enemy, but now you have another challenge, extra challenge. Now you do this level, instead of 15, you take 18 moves, but with those 18 you have to take over all of the pieces, the red pieces. There's nothing to unlock in this game. And it's not a negative because the game is as it is. Maybe they didn't have time, maybe they didn't have the idea. I'm giving it away for free. I think the developers, they didn't get the most out of what they made. This game can be squeezed a little bit more. And that's all I have to say about Gambit Shifter. I love the music, I love the art. I didn't like the constraint of not having too many moves. Like the path, it was clear and the answer was quite straight. And I really hated reading the titles of the levels, like hoping to find something funny, but it wasn't funny, it was the answer to what I actually had to do. And special mentions, why is it not on mobile platforms? Visual accessibility options, they are nice. In name of those who require these modes, thank you. It's not my case, but I'm sure they'll appreciate. The game is short because it's easy, and the game is short because you don't unlock anything at the end. So that's my opinion for Gambit Shifter. It's been a little bit longer than I had wished, but I think my opinion is clear and I said everything that I wanted to say. The only thing left for me to say is the final score. So, in having said all this, my final score for Gambit Shifter is a Junalesca from Final Fantasy X out of 10. Very fitting, Junalesca out of 10. That wasn't on purpose. My scores are always over 10. So my final score for Gambit Shifter is a Junaluska out of 10 because the game is beautiful, like Junaluska, and visually appealing depending on your preferences, but no one can deny that Junaluska is very pretty and beautiful, same as this game. They took care and attention to detail to make this game beautiful and appealing visually, and it is clear because of the art, because of the animation, because the attention to detail also on the music, and the little details that they are not required to have in this game, but they put it there. Nobody asked, but they are there, and since they are there, they go well with the theme of the game, and it's appreciated to have it. It's better to have it because it's nice rather than not have anything. And Junaluska gives you a choice, which is not real, it's not a choice. It's scripted in advance for you. And this game feels the same. You don't feel like you are playing. You feel like you are following the game's instructions. And the path to the solution, it's laid out for you, not you discovering it by playing the game, by trial and error, by go this way and find out that it leads nowhere and you have to go back and try a different strategy, a different technique, or do something in a different way. Same as Junaluska, it's a decision that it's premeditated, and a choice with one option is not a choice. So this is my final score, and it's a Junaluska out of 10. Final Fantasy X, of course. And with this, we say goodbye to Gambit Shifter, at least for now, I must say, because I expect this game to be expanded or updated and put a little bit more work on it. Like maybe by the time it releases on mobile phone, it comes with 3 new worlds and some unlockables. I think this game hasn't said the last word it has to say, not yet.